Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Turnabout Podcast, Episode 5. And with me today, I have a very, very special guest. We all know and love him. Please introduce yourself.
That's a very warm welcome. I'm the storyteller. I make Ace Attorney videos sometimes. That's it. Yeah, that's all I have to say, really. Yeah.
That's it. All right, see you next time. That was a bad introduction.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm kidding. So, what we're going to talk about today could be considered dated, depending on what we learn about it. But I do think this episode would be forever relevant because this is essentially what the storyteller and I want to see in Ace Attorney 7. And if Ace Attorney 7 doesn't turn out that way, then we could just say for a future Ace Attorney game. So, I don't think we were both particularly happy with Dual Destiny's Spirit of Justice, were we?
I mean, Spirit of Justice was certainly an improvement over Dual Destinies. I would put it... It's very in the middle of my rankings. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Like, it's not Dual Destinies, but it's not Trials and Tribulations, you know?
Right.
But it's just overall that direction the series took post Dual Destinies that I'm not quite fond of. Yeah,
yes, it's more the direction. I agree.
Yeah.
So, I guess we should be clear, we're not taking DGS into account for this.
Yeah.
We're not going to...
I've actually...
Oh, go ahead.
I've watched DGS, but...
You have?
Yeah, yeah, I actually have, yeah.
Oh.
I succumbed. It's really...
I'm still holding out.
Maybe Nintendo Switch, if we're really, really hopeful.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about official translation. I'm holding out for the... the Scarlet Study translation till that's done.
Oh, right, yeah. All I can confirm is that it's good, and I'd put it in my...
Thank God.
It's up there with, like, Trials and Tribulations, Apollo Justice.
It is?
Yeah, in my opinion. It's just... It would be seen as underwhelming to some, I will say that.
Okay.
If you found Apollo Justice underwhelming... you might find DGS underwhelming.
But for how you and I usually see eye to eye on Ace Attorney, how do you think I would take DGS? Because I'm dying to know.
I think you would like it.
Yes!
I think you'd like it.
Yes! Okay, good. That's good.
Case 2 specifically, right. But carry on.
Yeah. So, to just stay away from spoiling people or anything like that, I'm glad that you have experienced DGS. It's good to know. But we're going to just take that out of the equation for now. We're just going to focus on Ace Attorney 7, a direct sequel to Spirit of Justice, essentially. So,
yeah.
The first thing I want to see is this. I want them to switch writers. No, I'm kidding. But not a fan of Yamazaki like you. He's done good things, he's done bad things. But the thing I can say is I want new writers. In general, I want more writers, I want different people, or could we just have Shu Takumi back? Because it's not like he's not doing anything, it's not like he's done writing Ace Attorney games. He wrote the PO vs. AA crossover partially, and he's responsible for DGS. Can he come back and fix this mess?
I mean, my whole thing with Shu Takumi is I strongly believe that Shu Takumi needs to be set free in a way.
I see.
Set free in the sense that if after Apollo Justice, his honest reaction after making that game, because Apollo Justice is a game that really does set itself up for a sequel. Making a game like that, and you say firmly that I am done with the main Ace Attorney series, and he goes on to make a game like Ghost Trick, which is amazing, by the way.
Absolutely.
I strongly believe that, you know, if he genuinely doesn't want to do it, he should be allowed to do that. And as much as I miss him and his style, and he did eventually go back, I don't feel like he should feel obligated to go back to the main series if he genuinely doesn't want to. Now, while I'd like him to come back, it's not something I'm gonna bank on. And if he genuinely doesn't want to do it, I'd rather have a game that he's passionate about that he made than a game that he didn't really want to do, but like it would make me happy. You know. In regards to the whole writer's statement, Yeah, I think we need some fresh blood in Ace Attorney. We're with the Nintendo Switch, we're at a very transitional stage with Ace Attorney and what we could do and where we could go with this series. And one of the key things that I think come with this Switch, pun intended, but I think one of the key things that come with this is an opportunity for you to just like start afresh, essentially. If there's one key point that I'm gonna stress about Ace Attorney 7 throughout this video is that I don't even want them to continue with the not main series, but with the lore that's been established. I would very much appreciate a reboot for Ace Attorney 7. And now I know we're not, but I know we're not gonna get it.
That's my main point.
It has been confirmed, sadly, that Ace Attorney, well, not Ace Attorney 7, but the Ace Attorney game being developed for the Nintendo Switch is starring Phoenix Wright. Now, that is very.
I didn't know that, actually. See,
yeah, it's pretty sad.
I heard about the announcement, and I said, okay, this is obvious. I'm not going to read the announcement. I know. Layton CEO said it was going to happen to Layton. Obviously, it was going to happen to Wright. Are you kidding me? So Phoenix Wright is going to be, like, playable, like, star again.
36 years old and still strong. I mean,
I'm done. I'm done. There's
hope
no good that can come from that.
From a character standpoint, and just again the direction they're taking the series, I hope they don't. Again, we're in an era where post Apollo Justice and investigation, well, technically even investigations era, we're in this nostalgia era of Ace Attorney where we're not really sure where we want to go. It's like the series is taking two steps to move forward, but also taking 2 steps back. Like, it's trying to play it safe with the long-time fans,
right?
But it also understands, like, and I think Yamazaki understands this too, that he can't rely on characters like Phoenix and Maya to carry the series moving forward. It's not a really wise idea. So again, with the idea of a reboot, you can start afresh, you can start anew, you can formulate new characters for people to grow and love, start new arcs, create new crazes, new ideas, and I just think a reset for the series would be so beneficial for it. We've been too trapped in our own lore, Kurain, spirit channeling,
right.
The Gramarye Toupee, all of this stuff. There's so much stuff going on in the Ace Attorney universe, and I feel like if we just take a step back and we're like, okay, let's make a game that let's start again. Essentially, I think
in a way that's kind of what
happy.
DGS feels like.
Yeah, exactly.
It pretty much ignores the nostalgia and the heavy emphasis on lore of the Ace Attorney games that take place in the future, and it goes back in time so that it can do something different.
Yeah.
The problem I have... See, I would like a reboot as well. I would. I don't think it'll work for Ace Attorney 7 because Phoenix Wright's the star. And the reason I say that is because I do care about the lore of Ace Attorney. I like how the games connect. I like seeing characters grow. And I like seeing how these characters have had experiences that shaped them. And for us to say, let's start over with Phoenix Wright and have the PW through JFA through SOJ a different, like, alternate canon or whatever, that feels kind of like a blow to me. I don't know. I wouldn't be that's not inherently a bad idea. I wouldn't be a fan of that because of how strong I am on continuity, and having these experiences count.
I mean, again, my whole idea of a reboot, this was before, naturally, the confirming of Phoenix Wright being the main character of Ace Attorney 7 came about. But my idea of a reboot was that we have a new main character, a new supporting cast, a new world for Ace Attorney to jump in. Now, the fact that... See, this brings up a more interesting question now. Since we know we can't just go, it's going to be a reboot, since Phoenix is pretty much confirmed to be the main character at this point, where do we go with Ace Attorney now? That's really the question. And I remember seeing that news, and I kind of I made a tweet about this too. I was laying face up in my bed and I started asking myself, what can they do at this point? They've already raised the stakes so high for Phoenix to have a threat that they've made it, you die if you lose a trial,
So
and all that
stupid.
stuff. They've raised the stakes to Dark Age of the Law. Like, I made this joke before, but what are they gonna do? Like, make it like space trials, where if Phoenix loses a trial, like, the Earth gets blown up. It's where do we really go? Because the writers understand that Phoenix is a competent lawyer, and in order to give him a good threat, you need to either dumb him down or create higher stakes for him to overcome. And I don't know, after death, I don't know where we can really go with that.
Phoenix Wright himself has been a dead horse since the end of Apollo Justice. If we got Apollo Justice 2 and we continued the plot threads from Apollo Justice 1 more directly, I understand Spirit of Justice kind of does, but kind of retcons as well. But
yeah,
the thing is, unless Phoenix stood around as his role in AJ, I think Phoenix is dead. Dual Destinies, there was no good reason for him to come back. They never even supplied a good reason. They supplied a reason. It wasn't a good one. Didn't make sense in the general sense of the law. Exactly. And he didn't offer anything new. The only reason he was there so that the name was there, so that they were going to make sales, although Dual Destinies sold nothing, so I don't know why they continued in Spirit of Justice, and then that sold less. And then they still think Phoenix is what we want. But I think most...
I will say that Dual Destinies was, I believe, the best-selling game in Japan.
Nope.
I want to say.
Oh, in Japan?
No, it was even,
Are you sure,
in
though?
In Japan. I'm not sure.
I heard very mediocre to negative things about Dual Destinies sales. And if you look on general charts...
I believe it did well. I'm not sure.
I don't know about Japan, but I know that globally, worldwide totals, Dual Destinies is sitting pretty low.
Compared to the whole Ace Attorney series. I remember seeing that Dual Destinies was... I remember seeing Dual Destinies pretty high.
Maybe it was like a week 1 article report, though.
Yeah, it was probably a week 1 article. Yeah, Dual Destinies sold well in its first week. The game was marketed relatively well.
It was, I have to admit.
I think, again, I am... This is really a point I want to get off my chest right now. I used to be a very strong let's have Apollo Justice 2 head. After Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice, I would very much prefer if that wasn't the case.
Yikes.
Like, hand on heart,
Should I be fearing
right?
playing the rest of Spirit of Justice now?
Hand on heart, no, it's not that Spirit of Justice closes up all of Apollo's stuff. Far from it. It's that Apollo Justice 2 doesn't make sense because they already... I mean, Apollo's pretty much done for. He's over. It's a sad thing to say, but the ship has sailed and there's nothing much we can do now except to move on. Because who am I to be hypocritical and say, oh, let's move on from Phoenix, let's let go of the past, but then after Spirit of Justice say, and let's have Apollo Justice 2 and have Apollo come back and Trucy and Clavia and all that stuff. It would just be hypocritical of me. So yes. I say this with complete certainty, hand on heart. If the next game has to star Phoenix Wright, I believe that, and this is going to sound really left field coming from me, but I believe it should focus on Athena. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's the only thing they can do to sustain the future of the series in a way.
You know, I thought Dual Destinies developed Athena. You know, and I'm one of those people, as much as I hate Dual Destinies, I'm one of those people who thought Athena was pretty good and pretty okay. And I did think that through Case 1 to Case 5 especially, she was developed, she was fairly interesting, she contributed a little bit to the overall plot, and we learned about her, and she had a closing arc. So, in my opinion, she was, even though she seemingly isn't, was the most important character in Dual Destinies. That's why people...
certainly.
You know, and you're right, and that's why people make the joke, that's Dual Destinies is Athena Sykes' Ace Attorney. And it kind of is. And I didn't mind that. I honestly didn't mind that. It was really everything else that was the problem for me. But with that said, I understand your thinking, storyteller. Okay, Apollo quit the agency. I guess that's done. I mean, they just killed him off before they really did that much with him. I don't know why. We know that Phoenix Wright's going to start the next game, so I understand you're thinking, here comes Athena, but we already had Athena Sykes Ace Attorney, so the question comes back. What do you do in Ace Attorney 7? I think the correct answer is probably nothing.
I think they can still do something with Athena, though.
Really?
Okay, it would... But I know it sounds... It's still bad in a way, but it's less bad than having... Again, now we're just kind of dealing with the lesser of two evils, right?
Right, no, that's fine. I understand.
Yeah, it's either, okay, Phoenix, Maya, Gumshoe, Edgeworth,
Stop!
Iris,
Stop!
Godot, why not? Throw him in there. Just throwing the nostalgia out there. We could have that, or we could have, an Athena-centric game where she learns to stand up for herself in a way. Not stand up for herself in the sense that by herself she can be a competent lawyer. Because to me,
but in Turnabout Academy, she handled all of that.
But that was up. She still had that whole breakdown moment in a way. And I know you haven't. I'm not sure if you've reached that point in Spirit of Justice yet. But in Case 4, she's still not a competent attorney. She's someone that constantly needs someone there for her to help.
Well, I think that's actually a flaw with Spirit of Justice. Then I didn't know about that. I think that's a problem considering she overcame her childhood trauma. So I don't. I mean, if you can overcome that, then why can't you handle a court case? In my opinion,
I would disagree with that, because while I can understand Dual Destinies being about Athena overcoming childhood trauma, I don't think that translates to being a competent lawyer in court.
I suppose.
So, Dual Destinies, every case that Athena's in, as much as I dislike how Athena-centered it is, Athena still has someone with her each and every time. She can't do... Athena's, for the most of Dual Destinies, as much as I think the game is focused on her, you only play as her, once, and she's an assistant for most... She's an assistant for most of the game.
Right.
I get... You use her power a lot, and her powers... She is very tied to the story of Dual Destinies, but she, as a character, is very much... to quote... I was having a conversation with Volty about this
nice.
a long time ago, and we were talking about it, and the one thing we said was Athena very much feels like a supporting character, and that's her main issue. She still feels like she's like if Maya or Trucy was a lawyer with a special power, and while that's okay, that means she can play as her. Yeah, that's interesting. She had something new, I guess. She still feels like a supporting character. She doesn't feel like her own competent lawyer that can stand by herself. And I think that with Ace Attorney 7, you could do something with that. You could construct a whole arc about, okay, Athena's always needed someone by her side for Dual Destinies, and they kind of set up with Spirit of Justice, kind of, maybe, sort of, even if they kind of, throw some things in Dual Destinies to the wayside, It's not good, but I would rather take that kind of story, if they do go for it, over Phoenix, Maya, Edgeworth.
Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, essentially.
Gotcha. I agree. Now that you said it like that, I understand what you mean. Athena, it has very much felt like a Maya kind of character, but in a defense attorney spot, but has her own power. And yeah, that's true. I suppose there is something that could be done with that if Ace Attorney 7 is very Athena-centric. I wouldn't be opposed. And hopefully that means that they can somehow come up with characters that are related to Athena or friends of Athena that don't feel like they come out of thin air like Clay Taryn was. So if they can...
Yeah, because... I mean, it's kind of hard to do that, honestly and truly, but...
Right.
Yeah, because, again, you're just going to be adding things... I think I was seeing this on the Ace Attorney Reddit a long time ago, because I haven't been on that website in a long time, but people were saying how we're kind of sick of being dumped backstory as a means of development, because that's kind of what they do. Spoiler, I'm not going to say what happens, but in Spirit of Justice, that's kind of what they do with Apollo. It's more of, oh, you've developed as a character now, and they throw him a bunch of backstory, when in reality that isn't really character development. It's more giving us insight into why a character acts the way they do, or says this or does that. Right. Again, it's like the I'm fine thing from Dual Destinies. A lot of people, and many people would forget this, but in the early days of Dual Destinies, when it first came out, some people would genuinely, with a serious face, call Dual Destinies Apollo Justice 2. They would say that Apollo... They would say, because Apollo got I'm fine explained, and he had that moment where he accused Athena, that was character development for him. And while I disagree with those ideas, it just brings to question that whole backstory doesn't equate to development, that character development thing. Because just because you explain why Apollo says I'm fine doesn't mean you're developing his character. You just gave an explanation to something in the past. You know, it's if of all the things that needed help with Apollo in Dual Destinies, I'm fine wasn't one of them. I was fine with just assuming that was... I thought that was something that Apollo just did because he was a little nerd, you know, and it was just this cute little thing he did.
So I think that's my big problem with something like Clay Terran, is that it was created as backstory. Yamazaki thinks that's character development, but what it does is it just provides a weak weak explanation as to why Apollo left... ditched Phoenix and Athena for the final investigation. It was weak. It was stupid.
It's one big excuse,
they try to make you cry because they play all the sad reminiscence music, but it's baby's writing. It's not interesting. It's a waste of time. And if they continue to do that, you're right. So what I was saying about Athena is very much risky on that. And if they do that, then I agree.
That's the big risk.
It is.
I agree.
Yes, it is a huge risk. You're right. And that's the thing. If we could actually transition for a second on a more positive note with Ace Attorney 7, it's going to be on a certain console called the Nintendo Switch. So I want to talk about gameplay opportunities. Now, before... Wait. You got the storyteller? I got this. I'm not going to say everything, but I do have an editorial planned in the future. I don't know when it's going to happen. By the end of 2018, for sure. But it's going to be an editorial on what I want Ace Attorney gameplay to evolve to. And here's what I want.
Oh, okay.
You ready? Okay. They would never do this, ever. I just want to be clear. They would never, ever do this. Never. But this is what I want. I want Batman Arkham Asylum detective mode kind of thing. Jeez. I want it to be third person over the shoulder like Other M. I'm not done yet. Another element I'm going to take from another game. I want something similar to Ghost Trick, where you could, again, kind of like the detective mode, I want you to be able to look at things from a different eye somehow. I also want you to be able to walk around a wide area like an LA Noire. I want a third-person investigation segment kind of style. I'm tired of the point-and-click Monkey's Island, 80s style where in Layton it works because in the later Layton games they let you move all around the screen and there's actually things well hidden that harken back to the Monkey Island era, the old point and click games. But Storyteller, in Ace Attorney, the only reason we're still doing that is because that's what the first games did. They don't actually offer anything new, and that's why the investigations games elevated the gameplay to make it more interesting. I want that in 3D.
I think that would be interesting, but my only issue is it could come off as, unless you had this. Okay, this is a feature in Danganronpa, right?
Okay.
If you press, because I played it with a PlayStation 3 controller, if you press the triangle button, you can see everything you need to investigate, or everything that you basically need to investigate beforehand. I know that might take away from the sense of mystery and intrigue of the world, but when you're dealing with a three-dimensional wide space, it's very likely that... Because, Ace Attorney would naturally block you off from going to certain places until you've seen everything in a certain area.
Right.
So it could get... I imagine people would very easily get lost in the three-dimensional areas where they're supposed to investigate a specific thing. Especially if it's a very minuscule, tiny detail that many people wouldn't even notice. I think it's interesting, and I
would
like
agree, but non-detective games have done that just fine though. Because when I say wide open, I just mean you can walk around like you can in investigations. I don't mean like large. I think they could still be compact, room to room, and you just you find things as you go. And I don't think that would be a problem if it was done well, and I don't think it'd be particularly hard to handle. You do bring up a good point.
I agree with the point that I think it would be really fun just to try it. I definitely agree with that.
It would elevate the series to something new.
And I think it would enhance the gameplay in a way that isn't just adding a silly gimmick. So
yes,
I would...
Exactly.
I agree. I think I would agree with that. I think it's...
Because so many other games, like I listed, Batman Arkham Asylum, Metroid Other M's horror sections, LA Noire in general... These are games that have detective features, and they do it better than Ace Attorney. I think that's sad, because that's not their focus. Maybe L.A. Noire, but
the only problem is I mean, you already said it when you were about to announce what you were saying, but yeah, they probably will never. I'm not gonna say never, but I doubt they will reach that level of innovation.
It would be probably more
soon.
Budget reasons why they wouldn't. I would say.
Yeah,
but it could also be a fear of alienation of the fans as well. I think if
they did that, I think it would actually invite even more people.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It would probably alienate the fans. But what I think this new kind of gameplay revolution would do, which would work fine on the Switch, I think this would allow the game to, even if they get trapped with a story that sucks, right? Or the lesser of two evils with Athena. If we get trapped in that story, at least maybe the gameplay could be something totally new, totally interesting. It'll get people who haven't played Ace Attorney and say, that looks like Batman Arkham. I'm going to play it. And there you go.
Yeah.
You're going to get new people. And I just... Ace Attorney is getting stale because, like you said in that excellent... I forget who your guest was, but you had an excellent discussion on your channel about gameplay gimmicks. And the main point, I'm pretty sure... Totale. Yeah, he's good. You guys were talking about how, you were kind of talking about your favorite, your least favorite, and basically the general point was these gimmicks, they market the entire game on a new gimmick, and it doesn't really do anything other than what it's meant to do. It doesn't add to anything. This, kind of like how Investigations 2 were, a whole new way to look at things. Could you imagine using the deducing feature from Investigations in 3D? And be like, hey.
I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah. It'd be like, hey, look at that paper.
I'm worried how it would work in execution. But if they can execute it well, I would be in full support of it. Mm-hmm. I know it sounds weird, but in my head, I'm just kind of imagining like, okay, so say I'm playing as Phoenix, for instance, like a 3D model of Phoenix, and you can, it's got nothing to do with the actual solving of a crime or mystery, but going to a shop as Phoenix and getting changed into some random outfits. I don't know. So like, you can pay for the Fuyo Tigre outfit or something. I don't know. That sounds really.
Yeah. They can do something like that.
It's silly. It's silly, but I don't know. That's what I was thinking of. That sounds fun.
No, that's fine. That's a nice feature to have. But yeah. And I guess if we're thinking about like this, because the Switch is more powerful than the 3DS, we can do these kinds of things now. So if that's what Investigation looks like, how, and I'm going to ask you this, because I talked most about Investigation, how do you want the courtroom scenes to expand with this grander scope?
Oh, assuming that we're going 3D.
Right.
I don't think I would change much, I want to say. I think the courtroom gameplay would be the same, in honest truth. I mean, we already have 3D model, like, evidence examination, so I don't think much would be really changed other than, oh, look, the whole game is in 3D. I just hope it doesn't look ugly, that's all.
Oh, of course, yeah. I agree. I think as much as I'm a supporter of the investigation segments and the point-and-click games. Are they as interesting as the court ones? Not always, but I am more of a fan of it than other people. But even I have to admit, I would change the investigation segments more than I would the courtroom scenes. And basically, what I'm picturing, storytellers, I'm picturing PL versus AA, but more dynamic. So PO vs. AA used more camera angles than usual. I think about the final trial where Phoenix is walking around with his fingers on his chin, thinking, walking back and forth. I'm thinking about when you had to examine.
I'm not sure if this isn't a spoiler, but that happens in DGS 2, and I loved it.
Yes.
Carry on.
Good. Yeah, actually, I'm sorry, I forgot. But from the DGS trailers I've seen, they take PL vs. A's more cinematic look and take it even further.
Yeah,
it looks.
DGS is pretty much like the unofficial, not sequel, but sequel to Professor Layton vs. Ace Attorney.
I know.
Really like
I was gonna say visually and music wise, it just I love it.
Yeah.
And
it
even
borrows so much from that game.
Even kind of the Juris system in a way, it's kind of there, you know.
Yeah.
Multiple.
It's very much a prelude to that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes me even more happy. But yeah, I'm basically just picturing more cinematic.
Yeah, I think. Again, my main thing with Ace Attorney games is right now is I've noted this. I noticed this at the beginning, but I'm very much mellowing out to Ace Attorney, and one of the things I'm noticing as I'm mellowing out is I don't like. Again, my immediate these were my first 2 or 3 reactions to seeing Ace Attorney 7 is on the Switch. Phoenix is back, and now seeing all these different responses. Some people like, oh my god, Phoenix is back. Oh no, and naturally, I'm reacting in a very similar way. There's also people that are just happy that we're getting a game on the Switch. It's really cool.
Right.
But I think that and this is something against myself too. I feel like in a way we not quote unquote overreact at times, because I remember I saw some tweets that was like, oh, I'm gonna give up Ace Attorney if I see another Phoenix Wright game. And
yeah.
I understand that it's frustrating, but there are more reasons to like Ace Attorney than
the main character
of the game. I understand the direction isn't very ideal, but again, and this goes into what the next thing I really wanted to talk about, the cases. Actually,
if I could stop you for a second, before you go on to that next point, I just want to expand what you're saying. I think that taps into overcriticism, which, I mean, it's a problem in general with gaming, but I've definitely seen that with the Ace Attorney series. And maybe it's us, maybe it's us, and we're not. Maybe people are taking what we say too literally. Like when we say, "Oh, Phoenix Wright," like, "Oh, he's back." Like I pounded my desk in the beginning of this episode, but that's the thing. That's the thing. We're not going to write off the game as a 0 out of 10 because Phoenix Wright's the main character. Please keep that in mind, people watching. That's important. Overcriticism is never good. It's not. You'll never have fun in your life if you overcriticize your games.
I also feel like, again, you probably didn't get into the Ace Attorney series thinking, "Ooh, I really like this Phoenix guy. Oh,
nope.
I'm sticking around for him." But
nope.
You know what I mean. You probably played the first case of that game, and you're like, I really like the satisfaction of solving a murder mystery, and again, that's one of the main appeals of Ace Attorney.
That is the
sometimes
drive.
I feel like,
yes, that is
as
the
a
fundamental
community,
drive.
I feel like as a community, we often forget that that's what Ace Attorney is about: solving mysteries. And
that's why Takumi created the game. Am I correct?
Exactly.
Isn't that what his passion was to deliver?
If there's one thing I really just want to drive home with this whole Ace Attorney 7 Nintendo Switch thing is, regardless of what happens in terms of gameplay, in terms of characters, in terms of their overall direction, I just want some fun cases, man. Like, that's really all I want. I could complain all day about how they're overusing Phoenix and nostalgia pandering, and if they're not making full use of the Nintendo Switch or relying on gameplay gimmicks or anything like that. But overall, if you just give me fun cases, if you give me good cases, I'm a happy man. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna eat it up. I'll still be critical, but I'm gonna enjoy it.
Same here.
I still like Ace Attorney.
I played about half of I played the first investigation of Case 2 of Spirit of Justice at time of this recording. And I loved it. It was great.
Apollo I love it.
Chemistry was great. Gameplay wise, there was a lot to explore. I got to meet some side characters. Trucy's development was insanely good for post-AA2. Insanely good. And
I really enjoyed the investigation segments. The Trucy development part, I'm a bit iffy on, personally. Really? But yeah,
that's fine.
I mean, I don't want to get into it too much since it's not really that related to what we're talking about now. But
right,
it just felt a bit rushed. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
well. It has been half a year, so I don't know how it stands.
No, it's a valid point, but it's just like, okay, you meet Trucy, then she gets thrown in prison, and then in the next scene she's crying. It feels so quick, and then they slap in like, oh, a grammary should never cry, always smiles, or something along those lines. It's this.
Okay, that's just a Byron Faraday hack right there. But yeah, I agree.
It's this recurring. Okay, you know what? Here's another point. You just sparked this whole.
Sure. Go for it.
Within me. Okay, if there's one thing that I don't want to carry on in not this Yamazaki era, I want to say, but with the new direction of Ace Attorney.
Yes.
They keep stressing this same message of keep strong, never give up.
I'm so tired of it. You're right.
It's like, I mean, the original games did it, but they didn't like shove it in your face.
Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the Dark Age of the Law. It's like it was never shoved in your face in AJ, but we must remind you in Dual Destinies. That's what Yamazaki does. He just dwells on things over and over again.
And it's not that I don't think Yamazaki is incompetent or anything.
No.
He made the Investigations game.
I was just gonna say, in Investigations too, you have the whole father thing, like people cherishing their relationship with their father, whether they have passed or if they're alive. That was not incredibly subtle, but it was subtle enough that it felt nuanced, right? So Yamazaki has already done it right before. So let's make sure we remember that. But you're right, there is a giant emphasis on certain themes. And I think Ace Attorney, again, going back to catching the criminal and the thrill, themes were never the point of Ace Attorney. It was always a very welcomed and cherished addition. It is something we all cherish to the franchise, what it has taught us, and what these characters learn from these lessons, absolutely. But it was never the point, so to dwell on it feels, what's the word? A little prestigious?
It's just that it's the same thing every game for me. Like, it's each and every line means the exact same thing. Like, there's a bunch of motivational sayings that you'll hear each and every time. Okay, so Apollo has "I'm fine," which is basically be strong. Phoenix has even in the hardest of times, a lawyer never cries. This isn't a spoiler for Spirit of Justice, but Dark has a dragon never yields, and I forget Athena's one. It's not let's do this, but it's it's something about emotions. It's again that's whole idea of stay strong. Don't let your emotions overwhelm you.
Stay strong, Phoenix, because if you fail this trial, you will die.
It's just the same old thing each and every time. And
Phoenix, if you mess up, you will die.
It's just...
You will die, Phoenix. Are you sure you want to present that evidence? Are you sure? Are you sure, evidence? Are you sure? You want to present that evidence?
That was literally the worst part.
You want to present that? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Everything in Kurai.
We might die. We might kill you. So careful. Careful. That pretty much sums up case 1, in my opinion. I hate that case.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I don't hate it. I think I can a lot of people put it lower than where I put. I can understand why people don't like it as much.
And how about the puns? Temple? Are you kidding me?
I mean...
Temple!
I feel like they could have done a better job on those. But
what happened to Road to Nowhere?
I feel like they just put an apostrophe in the middle of words. They just said, I'll be your guide. I got this." And then, peace, love, and understanding. Like they make similar words. There's a character that's later in the game. I forget. Their name is like Trust in Me, and it's literally just trust in me. It's just. Or there's a character there's a character called Believe. What?
Oh my gosh, that going too far.
I have immense amount of respect for the localization team, but I think they could have done a better job. I don't know.
Again, like what happened to clever names like Furio Tigre, Rototanero, Emir Paunchbag? I miss those kinds. Not Temple.
They also came up with their names like April May, Red White, Dead Man. Okay.
Dead Man.
So I'm not gonna. Dead Man. Was
I believe it was pronounced Died Man, but it's Dead
Died
Man.
Man, Dead Man. I always call them Dead Man.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just my main issue was just I hope with the next game, at least if we're gonna get themes, could we make them a bit different next time? And also, can we lower the stakes? Oh, that would be lovely. Yes. You know, no more death. No, I don't even want them to bring up. You can have an underlying theme, be that the legal system is corrupt, but don't bring it up so much.
Actually, I'm gonna be able to take a different stake. I never want to see that again. Personally, I'm done. The trilogy had it, great. AJ had it, great. Investigations 1 had it, kind of. Investigations 2 brought it in an aspect.
It was
Dual Destinies
kind of
killed it, in my opinion. Each game was fine with it. I've never had a problem with it. I enjoyed it, actually, through Investigations 2. Dual Destinies killed it for me. So I'm done. I never
Spirit
want
of
to hear
Justice
about
was the
this
one
again.
that really just rammed it into the ground for me. Like, Dual Destinies was like, okay, you messed up everything we established prior. Bureau of Justice was like, okay, now let's make a whole new country to do the exact same thing. And it's just...
I'm done.
Well...
Yeah. Nope.
I don't mind... I can understand why you are done, but in the same token, I would say that I'm fine with them doing it as long as it's done like not even Apollo Justice. I'm not even gonna go that far. Original trilogy, have it be an underlying thing, but don't bring it up so much. It's just like, oh man, evidence is everything, and leave it at that.
I suppose. We're reaching the 45-minute mark, so we should start wrapping up soon. So I want to touch on one last thing, Storyteller. And it's that when I play Dual Destinies and when I see Spirit of Justice, I feel like something's missing. And I want to ask you, what do you think that is? Because I have no problems re-experiencing, looking up footage, replaying the original the PW through AAI2 plus PL versus AA. Those games, no problem going back to. I cherish them and I will forever. I love those games. But there's something off, something wrong, something I'm not clicking with Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice. I don't know if it's all of the cons and errors that we've pointed out over the years in our discussions, but it's something that I just look at that and I look at that and I just automatically, my brain says I'm not interested in Ace Attorney. When I should explain, when I see Dual Destiny Spirit of Justice, it just tells me like I feel like I should be investing my time somewhere else. I'm not interested. I'm not entertained. It's not just I'm not a fan of what I'm looking at. It's just it kind of takes the spirit of Ace Attorney out of me. And only when I look at the games I mentioned is when it comes back. Do you experience something similar to this, or would you like to try and explain why?
I was someone that really, I would say I'm someone that, I'm not going to say I exaggerate my distaste towards Dual Destinies, but I think if it's Dual Destinies is your first Ace Attorney game, it's very likely that you will enjoy it. Now, that said, I think the main thing is that it's a new direction, and that is, for me, my whole thing always leads back to Ace Attorney went in the main series of Ace Attorney always went in a new direction, starting from Dual Destinies, and your opinion on the games from that point, in many ways, will be shaped on how you feel about that new direction. Are you open to the ideas that Yamazaki presents? Are you fine with the stuff that he introduces? If you are, then you're into some fun, and you have some fun cases ahead of you. You've got some interesting stories that are very self-contained, so you don't have to worry about buying the next game to get the full story, unlike the trilogy or DGS. I'm often told about this spark that the original games had, and I think maybe a factor that has to do with it is just maybe it's hindsight, nostalgia. I wouldn't really be able to tell you. I don't. again, the reasons I dislike Dual Destinies aren't really because I look at the games that Yamazaki wrote for the main series and I go, I'm not getting the same vibe, because it is still Ace Attorney, but
it is.
I just understand. I just understand that it's being taken in a new direction, and I don't particularly. Well, I'm not as fond as it as I was of the previous direction. But regardless, again, as long as they're still making cases, and I still, to an extent, enjoy them, then I feel like there is still that spark there in a way. It just feels like I feel like the main problem is just pandering to that nostalgia again. I think
maybe that's what it is, where the spark is.
Again, it's all got to relate back to that new direction. I hate to just repeat myself, but it's really, that's the main thing that not drives me away from the main series, but it's an issue with the direction the series is going. They keep relying on nostalgia. They keep banking on hiring the stakes. They keep adding backstories. They keep bringing back characters. They keep doing all of this stuff, like introducing these things from the trilogy.
Maybe they're just
I'm not understanding what made them good.
Maybe the writers and the creators are just dry. Maybe they're just done. Maybe that goes back to what we were saying with, we need new blood. Because
again, that goes back to the point of needing new blood. You're right. And again, it also goes back to the point that maybe we need a reboot. So when I see an announcement and I see, hey, let's bring back Phoenix and he's going to be the main character of the new Nintendo Switch game, everybody get hyped, and
no.
I look at that and I say no, because this is the same. Because what's so different? I'm sorry.
What does it add?
I'm getting into a bit of rant territory, and I didn't really want to do this.
It's okay.
What is so interesting about a game starring Phoenix on the Nintendo Switch? How is this any different from what I got in Dual Destinies?
It's not. It's just not. They're just gonna raise the stakes more than death. They're gonna have like the moon crash into the earth if Phoenix doesn't make the right decisions. They're gonna bring back every single character from the original trilogy, because those were the heydays.
Just like penalty. There's not even like a penalty bar. It's like they're like, oh, you know what happens if you lose, Mr. Wright? And then the moon starts.
Majora's Mask crossover. Exactly.
I don't like to get too pumped up and like, oh, I hate this.
Yeah,
again,
I know.
We don't
really want
love
to.
Ace Attorney.
Right,
but
exactly.
It's just that thing of, what are we really doing? We can't say, again, these guys had an interview after Ace Attorney 6 release where I had faith in these guys. I was like, alright, they had this whole interview like, it's time to move forward. We've put Ace Attorney in. They literally said, we've put Ace Attorney, we ended Spirit of Justice in a way where we could go anywhere that we want to. So why, in the name of everything, did you go back to Phoenix?
Because Phoenix can't offer us anything new. He's a dead horse.
Exactly. That's the big issue.
He literally has, like, anything that you do with Phoenix at this point that's new is just going to contradict something that already happened to Phoenix. That's what I feel. I mean, that's obviously not concrete. We can't bank on that being true. I just think that's just how I feel, is we're going to start risking continuity problems if you start doing new things with Phoenix, because he's already done so much.
Not even just like continuity problems, even just looking at the Ace Attorney as a brand, as a thing, right? Ace Attorney used to, like, because the first Ace Attorney game was naturally called Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney in big bold letters. There are people out there who don't call the Ace Attorney series the Ace Attorney series. They call it the Phoenix Wright series. And as annoyed as I get from that ever so slightly, I can understand why people do that, because there's only one main series game that isn't starring Phoenix Wright, where he isn't on the logo. And we are going to reach a point where we can't even have an Ace Attorney game that doesn't star Phoenix Wright. It's like if every Pokemon game was like, had red on the cover of it, or gold on the cover of it. You wouldn't be able to make. And if you make every game like that, then how are you gonna eventually, when you do want to expand and you do realize, oh crap, Phoenix is 36 years old, maybe we shouldn't make, because he is in this game, he's going to be 36 years old. He's nearing 40.
Oh my god.
It will have been 10 years 10 good years since Trials and Tribulations. I don't know what they're doing. And again, I'm still going to play the game. I'm still going to enjoy it. But in terms of the direction they're going, it's lost on me. I don't know.
What people need to realize watching is that the Storyteller and I care about the Ace Attorney series, and that's why we're criticizing it. We will buy the games. We are fans. We will help support the series. We want to see it reach its full potential, and where it looks like it's going, it's just not even close. This is a whole other can of worms, Storyteller. That's why we're not going to talk about it. I'm just going to say it. Ace Attorney is going through the Sonic the Hedgehog nostalgia problem. Just gonna throw it out there. It's the same thing on both sides.
I would say yes.
Sonic Forces, Spirit of Justice. It's the same thing.
Especially in regards to the brand.
Gotta have classic Sonic.
Issue.
Gotta have Phoenix Wright.
Exactly. And then you reach a point where you can't even have a game without him.
Nope.
Because I think Spirit of Justice was really the last straw. And again, bear in mind that these are, from what I've read, quote-unquote rumors, but if Kotaku and all these court records are reporting it as to be true, then it's just a little depressing knowing that Phoenix is going to star in these games and continue to be forced into the story. I understand that he's recognizable, I understand that everyone loves him, but you can't milk him to the point where it's just a little saddening, you know. I hate repeating the same thing over and over, and I hate beating a dead horse, despite the fact that Ace Attorney is doing the exact same thing. But I understand that the cases can still be good, and I think they probably still will be good. And
yes.
Again, Ace Attorney, the quality of the Ace Attorney games isn't defined by who the main character is. However, I do think that we should reach a point where we start to form a new legacy. You know, with Ace Attorney 7, I really thought that was the point where we're gonna start to form a new legacy. If you want to rival the Ace Attorney trilogy, stop relying on the Ace Attorney trilogy. If you want to rival what Shu Takumi made, stop relying on what Shu Takumi made in that original trilogy, because those are GBA games. It's time. We can't move forward moving backwards. It's like I said earlier, we're taking 2 steps backward, and it doesn't really make sense. It's
my favorite era of Ace Attorney is Apollo Justice, Investigations 2, and I'd like to slap the crossover in there as well. That's my favorite era, but I cannot deny that the original trilogy has this magic to it because it is so well done and well executed. And I agree, if they're going to try and live up to that, because God knows they really want to, that's what they're trying to do. You can't nostalgia pander, you have to start fresh. And unfortunately, DGS, I know this sounds weird, but unfortunately DGS is what we're looking for. And the reason that's unfortunate is because it's not being localized, and DGS 2 sold like crap in Japan. So I think the sad thing is, maybe the only way that this series will succeed is having Phoenix Wright in the title, unless they take those gameplay innovations that we were talking about. So it's not like this is, I think you would agree, Storyteller, it's not like this is a linear, okay, there's only one way to do Ace Attorney 7 right. No, but there is a way to do it
things
wrong.
That will genuinely just throw me off and confuse me. I think, again, I keep on stressing this point, cases might still be fun. We might run into some fun characters. Might be some neat references. But everything feels very tired. If this game really does end up being not Apollo Justice, we can pray. A Phoenix Wright. It's just going to be very tiring to see the same old thing and the same old jokes. Just hearing, oh, Maya, I'm so happy to see you. Doesn't this remind you of Turnabout Samurai? Da na 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 na. And then Felix's phone rings, and then it's Gumshoe on the other end. What's up, pal? And then we've I don't know. Ace Attorney is digging its own, not grave.
Yes,
but
that's
digging
nostalgia.
Its own
That is not quality, though.
It's going again. We are going to reach a point where we can't even have Ace Attorney without Phoenix, and particularly good. You know, it's not something to be happy or proud of. I still maintain hope. I hope for the best. I have faith in Yamazaki's skill as a writer to deliver something that I can enjoy. And I don't think the fact that Phoenix is a playable character will take away from the fact that I can still enjoy the game. I just disagree with the direction they're taking the series, from the mistakes of the past, and attempt to move forward. That's all I have to say, really. Yeah.
Yeah, with that said, I think we covered that one pretty nicely in depth. We have a good timing on that, 55 minutes. Well, Storyteller, thank you so much for coming on the Turnabout podcast. If you guys didn't know, this man right here, he started doing Ace Attorney discussions, but he wanted to do something different. So that's what actually inspired me to start Turnabout podcast, is to kind of continue where he left off. In fact, the second episode, JFA vs. TNT, was inspired by his first Ace Attorney discussion that I was on, where we compared PW to JFA. So he is Storyteller. You've made, whether you know it or not, you've made a huge impact on me and other Ace Attorney fans in this series. You've really, because you, like you say at the end of your videos, you want people to think in general. Well, I can tell you've definitely left your mark on the Ace Attorney series.
Thank you.
And I hope, even though you're getting tired of it, you're mellowing out, you know, it's not that fun anymore. I understand. I totally do. I hope you still will cover it and check in every now and then, because that's how much of an impact you've left. When a new game or new news comes out, I guarantee that people are going to be asking you your thoughts. So while you should never live by Ace Attorney or feel obligated to, I like how you're doing new things with Sonic and things like that. Make sure you check in every once in a while. And with that said, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone knows where you are and what you do, but go ahead, the Storyteller, tell us where people can find you and what do you do?
I am the Storyteller. You can type up the Storyteller altogether on YouTube. You should be able to find me. I made a bunch of Ace Attorney videos where I talked about some of my frustrations with the series, some of the things I really like and appreciate about Ace Attorney. It really is flattering to hear that I have left somewhat of a mark on the Ace Attorney community. And, you know, while I'm not going to be making as much Ace Attorney videos as I used to, or even, I would even say Ace Attorney videos in general, I will still, as you said, check in every now and again. When Ace Attorney 7 releases, I'll be sure to review it and give my opinions on it. Ace Attorney is still something that means a lot to me. I'm still going to play the games, but I just wish everyone, I just hope they know what they're doing, that's all. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I'll say I would like that. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate having you here. This was an excellent discussion. And with that said, that is episode 5 of Turnabout Podcast. I'm Innocent Christoph Gavin. You can subscribe here for more analyses, in-depth reviews. I also have Ace Attorney content here, including every long time from now I do big Ace Attorney reviews, and you'll be seeing Trials and Tribulations soon. So, yeah, it's been great having you on here, Storyteller. I would have to say, I think this has been an important podcast episode in particular, because I don't know, the fact that you're in this video means a lot of people might see it, which might mean a lot of people might see what we're saying. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, I think we might leave an impression on Ace Attorney 7. Not in terms of the developers, but maybe reception. I'm not sure, but this is going to be interesting for sure. It is a wild ride, as you've said.
It'll be interesting to see how Ace Attorney 7 shapes up and everyone's reaction to it.
Exactly. With that said, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you later.
Bye.